And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
What's up? We got Gossip Girl, Season 3, Episode 10, The Last Days of Disco Stick. This episode starts off with Dan strolling around the city, still feeling the buzz from his threesome with Olivia and Vanessa. Meanwhile, Serena continuously tries to get a hold of Blair, including leaving her messages promising nothing going on between her and Tripp. In Central Park, Blair is dodging Serena's calls, while she and Chuck are on a walk. Blair explains to Chuck that she's planning on adding the Tisch School kids to her list of allies or minions at NYU, and she helpfully won over Paul Hoffman, their leader. Chuck tried to tell her that that's a diplomat in town, and has asked him to show his son around the city, and he's doing it to secure an international client because elsewhere, Dan fills Nate in on his threesome. Dan replies that Dan's stupid for doing it, and since the third person always has to be a stranger to avoid awkwardness and jealousy. Dan admits that things are weird between any of them, and even though he hasn't talked to Vanessa since, Vanessa approaches and says they make plans to see Morrissey that night, and they'll prove they're still friends. At NYU, Blair walks in on the Tisch meeting, and she overhears Paul voicing his disappointment that Lady Gaga won't be giving a performance yet. Like, she's too busy playing Harley Quinn in the new Joker movie. Yeah, too bad that movie bombed, and too bad a great actress like Lady Gaga was only in that movie. I've not seen that movie yet. I've just heard terrible reviews on it, and I know that she was only in the movie for 22 minutes of the screen time. And she's the one who brings up a Joker. Like, bro, I've heard about that. I've not seen the movie. I probably will. I probably will see the first one too. But I'm just saying that Lady Gaga, I have to mention that. Blair mentions that Cyrus would maybe talk Lady Gaga into doing a show, but Paul says his father and Willow Weinstein's father couldn't, so Cyrus can't. Blair then overhears them discussing cabaret plan, and says she loves cabaret and the theme's fairy tale. And Paul flatly tells her it's by invitation only, and the group leaves. Elsewhere, Olivia tells Dan that ever since Unless Night 4 fell through, Casey wants her to take on any project she can. Dan asks if she's going to stick around, and she says that she's planning to because she's happy. She asks if she wants to act at NYU. She can at Tisch. Dan reveals that he wants to apply to their playwriting program, and Olivia immediately tells him that it's a great idea. She offers him to help him with his application that night, but he replies that he and Vanessa are seeing Morrissey. She excuses herself to get coffee, but Dan mumbles to himself that he thought they were getting coffee together. After Vanderwoodson, Lily is suggesting potential dates for Jenny. Jenny tells Rufus that she's over dating Upper East Side guys, and Chuck arrives trailed by Damon Delgard, played by Kevin Zegger. I don't know why I guess I have to say every actor I know and stuff now. Or if you know him, he was Seth Nelson in Smallville, and he was also that one leader in Fear the he was Charlie's leader in Fear the Walking Dead. So he was Charlie's protector in Fear the Walking Dead. So yeah, but I may know him as Seth Nelson in Smallville. Glad he's in the show. He's the son of Damien is the son of a Belgian ambassador. Chuck says that he's supposed to be taking him on tour, and Louis suggests that maybe Jenny would want to instead. Jenny glances at him and agrees right away. And then Blair stops Olivia in the halls to ask if she was invited to Paul's cabaret night. Olivia answers she was, and that she's dating a guy who needs a chance for her to play, but his schedule is needs to be cleared first. At the campaign office, Serena leaves him a note. At Tripp's campaign office, Serena leaves him a note about an article on his desk. But he's surprised when he walks in. He replies that this meeting ended early, and she implies that she shouldn't be so awkward. He tells her that he and Maureen are moving to DC the next day, and she'll be around the holiday. They decide to avoid each other until they leave. Maureen arrives and explains that the luncheon she planned to attend was moved up, so she has to leave to DC that day. Tripp assures her it'll be fine and that their housekeeper can finish packing. Maureen asks Serena to help since the only thing left is to be packed are the private family documents, and she takes Serena's signal as a yes and leaves with Tripp to go to brunch. At the Empire, Serena arrives to see Nate. He's on the phone with his mother telling her not to let William manipulate her, especially since he was behind the Hudson scandal. He wasn't. We know it was Maureen, but Nate, or Maureen, I don't know how to say her name, but Nate, of course, still believes it's him. When he hangs up, Serena tells him that she thinks she's about to get involved with his married cousin. Back in NYU, Olivia runs into Vanessa in the room, and they agree that they're not trying to avoid each other due to the threesome. Olivia tells her that about their plan with Dan to see Morrissey. Olivia arrives and tells her that she signed her and Dan up for cabaret a month ago and happens to be that night. Vanessa says that she's okay with it, and Olivia will leave. Back in the Empire, Nate tells Serena that Tripp and the whole family has sacrificed a lot for his career, and he can't throw it away for Serena. He can't just throw it away for Serena. She says they're both fighting it, but she's really into him. Afterwards, she goes to leave, saying she thought she could always count on Nate, but he stops her and says she always can't. In Central Park, Jenny and Damien are taking a walk. He tells her that he has a fun plan, and that she can see Chapin with him. As she sees Chapin, Mean Girl, Damien waves them and then gets a run stable. Jenny's weirded out and tries to talk him out of it. Unsuccessfully, she goes to the Chapin Mean Girl, laughing at them. She sees the Chapin Mean Girl laughing at them. At NYU, Paul fills in participants for the rule of cabaret. Dan listens and tells Olivia that this is a good idea. Blair comes in and sits with them, and Olivia admits that it was Blair's idea for them to participate. She suggests that they make it a Snow White-based play on Lady Gaga's song, and goes to talk to Paul about song ideas. Dan tells Olivia he feels bad for canceling on Vanessa to write a play that Blair will direct and star in. Olivia convinces him that it's a good thing and that Vanessa knows they're busy and is cool with it. Back at Central Park, Jenny tries to call Chuck to say Damien's embarrassing her. Afterwards, Damien comes over and says he's done. She notices they took the wrong boat, but he says he's the one with the cat and the other one has ecstasy in it. I think it means drugs. This dude's a drug dealer. At the Empire, Dan fills Nate in on the new development. Nate tells him to prove to Olivia that he and Vanessa are just good friends, despite them sleeping together. When they hang up, Nate goes back to talk to Serena. She calls Tripp to cancel their plan, and he asks her to have lunch instead. He asks her to lunch instead. She almost says yes. Nate shakes his head. No. Nate says, "Don't do it, Serena." And she quickly declines and tells him to have a safe trip. After call, Nate tells her that he isn't going to let her out of his sight until Tripp is gone. At Tripp, his housekeeper enters the office and informs him that Anne is there to see him discuss something important. At NYU, Dan tells Vanessa that that he's sorry about canceling, but Olivia sent him up for cabaret that morning, and he asked for her help. She agrees, and she later presents the script to Blair and Olivia and Blair's NYU minions. Blair is impressed, and she begins to give everyone roles. He signs Blair the fading evil queen, Olivia to be the upcoming star, and the minions to be the dwarfs. Yeah, of course the NYU minions are the dwarfs. He announces that he got Vanessa to be director. Vanessa is pleased with the news, and she mentions the script is great, but Vanessa says she already read it because Dan let her read it early. Dan quickly says that he had to give her something to get her on board. Olivia tries again, saying that she wants to directing pointer. She's worked with some good directors, and Vanessa replies that if she needs help turning someone into a bat, she'll ask. Elsewhere, Damien asks Jenny what does the Upper East Side Queen do. When he learns that it's kind of a bore, and Jenny replies that it's probably compared to an international drug dealer. He explains that since his dad's an ambassador, they don't go through airport security, and their bags don't get checked in customs. And she admits that it's thrilling that he invited her to come to a delivery. And he invites her to come to a delivery with him later. In Central Park, Nate and Serena walk and eat ice cream. They stop for a minute to wipe some off of her face, and Tripp calls her and he tells her not to take it, then takes her phone and makes sure she doesn't talk to him. He explains that they're going to get drunk that night, and she hugs him tightly to thank him. At NYU Cafe, rehearsals for play are underway. During the first song, Vanessa and Olivia begin to argue. First about directions, then about who's boxing who out, and eventually about Nate slept together. A flashback to the night shows the part where Olivia is kissing Dan, but Vanessa pushes her off to bed to kiss Dan instead. Olivia announces to Vanessa that it's clear that she was in love with Dan, that she's in love with Dan, everyone knows. Then everyone agrees, but Dan says that's crazy, and Olivia quits, followed by Vanessa. Blair sarcastically asks if they had a threesome, and Dan is shocked when she realizes it happened. Dan replies that he's going to talk to them, but Blair offers to do it herself. After Blair sits down with both of them, she tells them that if they don't do cabaret, she'll call TMZ and Gossip Girl and tell them that they engaged in a threesome. She tells Vanessa that if she doesn't participate, she'll tell the whole school about the threesome, and also tell her parents. Meanwhile, Nate and Serena drink at a bar. They realize they haven't drunk alone the whole time since they haven't drank alone since the Shepherd wedding years ago. His phone rings and he answers to find Tripp on the other end, who informs him that Marine was behind the whole Hudson scandal, not William, and that Anne told him. Nate asks what he plans to do, and Tripp replies that he can never trust Marine again and doesn't want to see Marine again. Nate tells him to hang in there and he'll call him later. He lies to Serena, saying that was Dan on the phone, and they begin to drink again. At a different club, Jenny and Damien arrive to contact a deal. When Damien gets a text that his guy is there, Jenny begins to panic slightly. Damien offers her to let her go to another table, but she plans to stay. Back at NYU, the play has begun, and Jenny is Blair sure both girls will show up, and they do. Vanessa gets checking on the final arrangements for the show, and Blair sets everything up, set up a treat for Paul. Alone, Dan and Olivia talk. Dan tells her that Vanessa has no feelings for him and nothing is going on. He agrees and says what she saw came from Dan, and that's what she said to take her shirt off. She saw him kiss and look at Vanessa the way he never did her. He denies it, but she replies that she knows he was talking about proves it happened. So the show begins, and everyone enjoys it. Olivia enters at her cue and sings Love Game to Dan. At the club, Jenny watches Damien conduct his deal. She excuses herself to go to the bathroom, but Damien tells her to text the prop while she's gone. Chuck then shows up and says he got her message and had and had housekeeping do a turn down service on Damien's room when they found the drug. He tells Damien that he and his father will have until noon to leave, or else he's throwing their stuff in the river. After he escorts Jenny out to go home. Back in NYU, Vanessa freaks out at Olivia as Olivia misses her next cue. Blair shoves her on stage to take... That's just so funny. Blair shoving someone on stage to take her place. She does so, and at the bar, Nate tells Serena about the time he told her he loved her in Season 1, Episode 7, and Season 1, Episode 6. She's surprised that he loved her, and he tells her that he's the most amazing person he knows. Before they can kiss, Tripp enters and asks if he's interrupting anything. Back in NYU, Vanessa is playing a Not That Snow White. Dan, realizing he has to kiss her, does so, and after the play continues, when it's over, the crowd applaud loudly, and Paul tells Blair he was impressed. He also helps Dan with his playwriting application, and he thanks him. Right after, Blair gets a paper lantern and orders everyone to follow her. Back at the ball, Tripp tells Nate and Serena about everything he learned, including that she admitted it when he asked her. He thanks Nate for hearing him out, and Serena realizes Nate knew and that he didn't know, and why he didn't know. Tripp asks Serena to walk with him, and he tries to stop her, but he tells her not to go, or she'll cross the marriage line. Serena says she thanks him, but says that line got a little blurry. Back in NYU, Blair brings everyone in and announces Harley Quinn, Lady Gaga, knew Cyrus when she was at a Tish and wrote Poker Face about him. I don't think that's true, but I don't know who Lady Gaga actually wrote Poker Face about, but it's not about Cyrus. Stop lying, Blair. She revealed that she agreed to let the students watch the dress rehearsal for her VMA performance. In the back, Olivia tells Dan that she abandoned the play to make Vanessa step in so they could kiss to make him realize the feelings were real. She immediately talked to Casey and is leaving to take a movie and promised to be back in the fall. Vanessa comes up and says they will have to talk eventually and apologizes to Olivia. She says that she hasn't liked Dan in that year and she thinks Paul likes her. She goes to talk to him, and Olivia leaves the building. At the Vanderwoods, Chuck tries to tell Jenny that she's better than Damien, and she admits she's bored with being queen, and Chuck realizes that she needs to be careful because she falls down the rabbit hole. Because if she falls down the rabbit hole, she will be in deep. At Tripp's house, he and Serena kiss. Back at the Vanderwoods, Jenny texts Damien and says she had a fun time and they should do it again. Nate sits at a bar. Nate sits alone. Back in NYU, Dan looks on as Lady Gaga finishes the performance, and that's the end of the episode. And even though Olivia promised to come back in the fall, we never see her again. Hilary Duff left the show, and that's it for Olivia's character. I felt like this episode was a really good end for her, but the fact that she said she'd be back was a straight up lie. Liar, Olivia, you liar. You said you come back, but you never do. So, and that means this is the final episode of Dan and Olivia as a couple. They break up off screen, and yeah. And so Dan can go off to more interesting and better storylines with, like, Vanessa, or Blair, or Serena. Now that he no longer is in a relationship with Olivia. But yeah, that was the final episode of Hilary Duff's stint on the show and as Olivia as a character. So yeah, really weird that they wrote her in like she was going to come back, but she never does. Why would you do it to a writer? Why would you write her in that she said, oh, she'll be back in the fall? Yeah, no. She never comes back. That was a good trick on you, writers, trying to make us think Hilary Duff would be back. I wonder what actually happened. Did they just think Olivia had no character anymore? Like with the last character they took off of the show. like with the last character in this season who they wrote off the show, Scott. Scott's departure was because his storyline kind of wrapped up. There was no reason to have him continue on the show because his whole, him having the secret was revealed. Everyone knew. But now with Olivia gone off the show, what was the reason? Did Hilary Duff just have to go back to Lizzie McGuire or a Lizzie McGuire movie? Did something happen to make her leave? Or did something happen? Because this is so weird that she just randomly leaves the show without any explanation. But anyway, that's it for this video, and that's it for the final appearance of Olivia. And that's it for this video, and the final appearance of Olivia. See you next time for the next episode, Treasures of Serena Madre. But anyway, you know you love me. XOXO, Gossip Girl.